Good and happy Thursday, everyone. This is the Bitcoin Otter, and we're coming to you live, 97.7 FM, KCYP, the city, McAllen, Texas. We're broadcasting here also on Facebook, YouTube, and Radio Garden. Glad to be here again. We had a few weeks off for Christmas and New Year's. I hope everyone is blessed. I hope everyone had a great time with your family. Hopefully there weren't too many family spats over things like politics, religion, etc. Right? So if we want to get along with family nowadays, we really do have to keep things close to the vest sometimes. But that being said, I'm happy to be back. I'll be monitoring the comments. Hopefully we can see them. We're going out on the aforementioned places, but basically it's just another show where I'm going to tell you that greetings, blessings, and good fortune. And I have some news. Things have been happening all over the place. They've been wild, crazy. I've got the notes. We'll start out with the usual, right? So the sign of the times, if you will, the barometer of where we are financially. In my mind, this is just me. I'm not a financial advisor by any means, but let's look at things in comparison to the U.S. dollar. So we'll start with my favorite, Bitcoin, which during pre-show prep, as I was taking notes, it was $16,863 for one Bitcoin, which again means it's 16,863 times better than the Federal Reserve note. Side note, right? Gold at $1,840. So if you have an ounce of gold, it's better than having a dollar. Let's just call it that. And silver, again, bringing up the rear and suppressed as always in its value, I should say in its price, $23.47 for an ounce of silver. So what does that tell you? Go out and get an ounce of silver for you and your family. So let me get into some news here. And I'm going to get into the crypto stuff first because it's interesting, as usual. And then we'll go into a little bit of political stuff. And again, I'm monitoring to see if anyone wants to make a comment, ask a question, so forth. Also, Joe, what's the number to the station again? How can we get some interaction on the phone?
956-789-0702.
956-789. And what was the last one there, Joe?
0702.
0702. All right. So, if you want to get in on the action, if you want to make a comment, you want to ask a question or whatever, I'll do my best to answer. Joe's going to pop in every now and again with a question on the content we're going to be covering today. I don't know how long the show is going to be. It all depends on how far we go, but I'll tell you what. If God is with us, we're going to get the message across. That's just the way it is, and I believe He is with us. So, Bitcoin Magazine came out with this. You can now live in this Swiss city solely on Bitcoin. Not S-O-U-L, S-O-L-E, solely, only. If you, let's just say for whatever reason, you wanted to live on Bitcoin, you can go to Lugano, Switzerland, and live on Bitcoin. According to them, you can pay with Bitcoin for food, drinks, art, fashion, jewelry, cars, watches, tattoos, real estate, taxes, municipal taxes, of course. The city is making this decision. The whole country of Switzerland is not. So in Lugano, Switzerland, you can pay your city taxes with Bitcoin and services, and they say so much more. Yeah, you let your mind figure out what that so much more is. Now, here's another one. Which, okay, why did I mention that? Adoption, right? We're always talking about, hey, when is this whole Bitcoin thing going to come around? When are people actually going to use it for money? When are people going to take it as an exchange of value for goods and services? Well, it's been happening for a long time, but the adoption level is rising. So that's why I bring that up. Here's one from ProCoin News. Gold-backed crypto coins have been issued in Russia. Wow. You might think, what does that mean? What's the significance of that? What's the big deal? Well, if you remember in your history, we as Americans had something called a real currency. And it was real because it was backed by a real world valuable asset, and in this case it was gold. So the US dollar, the which then became in 1913 the Federal Reserve note. And we all know, of course, anyone who's been watching for a while, that the Federal Reserve is a private entity. It's not part of our government. It is most definitely private, and they are most definitely out for their interests and not yours. That being said, the significance behind backing a crypto coin with gold is that if it's done properly, it can be a guarantee of a valuable asset that one can base their family nest egg on. You can base your portfolio in your stock, or whatever your investments might be. If you're industrial or commercial, a banking institution, you can actually put that on your ledger. You can put that on your books, so to speak, and it will act as a store of value when you want to assess the value of your entity, whatever it might be. So that is positive. Now, the litmus test for this is going to be whether or not you can take this coin and exchange it for its equal value in gold. For instance, the dollar used to be worth, I believe, at the first point, this is what they valuated it at. I think it was $31. If I'm mistaken, anybody wants to throw it in there, go ahead. But I think it was $31 for 1 ounce of gold. So the great example that's given by Dave from X22, and if you guys want to learn about news other than zooming out to the TV, check out X22 Report. And the guy from X22 Report, and he's legit because he already got kicked off YouTube. So he's telling you some good stuff. So when people who are talking about news and they're not swearing, there's no nudity, there's no, nothing nasty, right? It's just pure information, and they get booted out of the mainstream. I take that as a badge of legitimacy. Okay, that's just me. You be your own person, think how you want to think, but if there's nothing really nasty, nothing really controversial, well, controversy, breeds. This stuff breeds, controversy. But that being said, if there's nothing really obscene, and they're being kicked off of, content creators are being kicked off of these platforms for something or other that they've just shared, then maybe hearken to that. Maybe take a look at that. Maybe figure out, well, you know what? There's a reason, one, that this person is saying this. Two, there's a reason that they're being censored for this. So that's my natural thought process as someone who has gone out of their way to find truth. I don't pretend to have a corner on the market of truth, but I can tell you that I seek it out. I look for it. I'm always trying to compare a piece of information from one source to a piece of information from another source that perhaps I had already validated either through life experience or logical and critical thinking. So there's where I'm going with that. So X22, again, we're coming back. I went a bit afar, okay? What do we got here? Beto's on. Hey, Beto, how you doing? And Jaime, how you doing, guys? Glad to see you up and around and back from the food coma that we may have been in for the holidays. I know I've put on a few pounds. So anyway, going back to the X22 basically comparison that Dave does from X22, he says if you were to go back to the point when they took us off of the gold standard, I believe it was 1971, that great, well, let me not exaggerate, Nixon took us off the gold standard. So no longer was the dollar attached to gold or backed by gold, right? So at that time, I believe they evaluated the dollar at 31 per ounce. So 1 ounce of gold would get you, or $31 would get you 1 ounce of gold. Okay. Now, Dave says, if you were to bury $31 and you were to bury an ounce of gold at that time, and then you were to dig it up today in 2023, now, wow, I was almost said 22, 2023, if you were to bury that and dig it up, which one would you want? Of course, you'd want the gold, because the gold is what it is. It's not going to change. The piece of paper in the denomination called the US dollar has changed vastly. It has lost immense amounts of buying power in that time. All right, Beto. Thank you. He says I'm looking good, even though I got that little chin thing going from all that, the mashed potatoes and all the good stuff that we ate, right? Regardless, this coin here means something. It means something that people want to bring, regardless if it's in the West or the East, or whatever. People want to bring value and a connection to valuable assets via the blockchain. Why the blockchain? Well, the blockchain, again, is, and not all of them, because some are private and obscure, but we'll get into that a little bit later. The blockchain is transparent, meaning you can get on a computer and you can see the transactions going to and from a certain wallet. So let's say you knew the wallet of this gold-backed crypto coin, right? So you know what the wallet that basically concerns this particular coin. You know what that wallet is. You can see what goes in and out. It's transparent in that the transactions are visible. Try that with our Federal Reserve. Like I said earlier, the Federal Reserve came into action, bad action, but anyway, came into action in 1913 here in the United States, right? So in that time frame between 1913, now over 100 years, and 2023, how many times do you suppose we would have audited the Federal Reserve? Joe, if you or I were doing financial dealings on that magnitude, how many times do you think you or I would be audited?
At least once a year.
At least once a year. At least once a year. Probably we'd have agents over our shoulders, right?
Quarterly, right? On a quarterly basis
yeah,
even.
exactly. So when you think about it, when you understand that the Federal Reserve, one, is private, two, it has never ever been audited by any body of governance, independent, maybe some bean counters or something. Nobody has ever audited the Federal Reserve. That might want to, bring some thoughts to your head. Anyway, so this is coming from Russia, this gold-backed cryptocurrency. So if we want to test it, this is the test of anything that says, hey, it's gold-backed, or you can it's worth its weight in gold, let's say. Here's the test. Can you go to the bank, and it's called Sber Bank, my Russian is rusty, so SBER, Sber, whatever. So this bank in Russia, it's Russia's largest bank. So if you are able to take whatever they name this coin, if you're able to take it to the Sber Bank, okay, and get whatever denomination you were told it was worth, let's just say 1 ounce, for example. Let's say one of these coins is worth 1 ounce of gold. If you were to be able to go down to that bank and you made that transaction, it would have to be obviously on your phone or whatever because it's all digital, right? So you make that transaction while you're there. It goes back into their wallet, and they should, if this is legitimate, they should slide over to you 1 ounce of gold. So, if it's true, if it's legitimate, that is the litmus test. Will you receive your ounce of gold? Or, let's just say, it's silver. So, John F. Kennedy, one of the reasons they killed him, he produced money out of the Treasury of the U.S. He bypassed the Federal Reserve, and they printed money out of the Treasury, the U.S. Treasury, which is the constitutionally correct and proper way to mint U.S. currency. And they called it silver certificate. So it was backed by silver. Okay? We all know what happened with John F. Kennedy. Well, actually, there's the rub. We don't really know. We have ideas of who did it, but we don't really know. Anyway, he understood finances. He understood what a society built on debt does to its citizenry. And unfortunately, we're coming into times that we're realizing that all too closely. Okay, let's see here. From The Guardian, here's one, and I know we followed this a little bit. FTX, okay? We may know people who invested in FTX. I do. They invested in FTX. They put their cryptocurrencies in FTX. And what did FTX do? They gave them away. Yeah, they gave them away. So you might be looking at numbers on a screen, and they're not even there. They're not even there. Why? Because they gave them away. They gave them away to Ukraine. They gave these monies, these cryptos that got turned into cash or whatever they got turned into. They gave them away to Ukraine. Very popular place to give stuff away because what happens is it gets washed. It's called money laundering. And then they send it somewhere else. So Ukraine is like the best for that right now, if you're that kind, you know. So FTX, that Friedman freak, he is that kind. So he stole people's money that had trust in him. Thankfully, well, hopefully no one will anymore. But if you ever had a doubt that FTX was a scam, this ought to do it. If you thought it was, maybe not a money laundering operation on the scale of foreign aid, it most definitely is. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched for a while or listened, foreign aid is not really aid to any foreign country. Foreign aid is literally money laundering. This is how the corrupt individuals in our Western system get things done, so to speak. And we, if we watch a little bit too much TV, excuse me, we'll believe what they say. But many of us don't believe a word of what they say anymore. Anyway, this is from the story. This is The Guardian again. As well as political causes, Bankman-Fried donated large sums to charities, endowing the FTX Foundation and FTX Future Fund to promote his interests. Okay? So in addition to taking, investor funds without their knowledge, FTX sent them to corrupt Republicans and Democrats. The two-party system that we've come to despise. So corrupt Republicans and Democrats ended up with much of these people's money. And again, this Sam Bankman-Fried, he didn't tell anybody. He didn't say, hey, Joe Smith, Jane Doe, we're going to take part of your deposit and we're going to give it to Ukraine. We're going to give it to this crooked Republican. We're going to give it to this crooked Democrat. They didn't tell anybody that. So there were people out there thinking that, well, you know what? I've got an investment here. I'm hoping that someday I'll be able to either retire and get a return on it, whatever. No, that he stole it. He stole it. Have no doubt he stole it. Hopefully they'll get it back. So the term is that they're trying to claw back payments made to politicians. Good luck, right? I think every country in the Western world is trying to claw back payments made to politicians. Anyway, this is from a news outlet called Decrypt, obviously crypto-based. So Decrypt. Coinbase stock hits new low, down 87% from start of 2022. Now, if anybody's even dabbled in cryptocurrencies, they know what Coinbase is, right? It's the first, maybe not the first, but it's the biggest, okay? So they're known pretty much worldwide as a place where you can exchange fiat currency for cryptocurrency, and within the crypto verse, so to speak, you can trade crypto for crypto, right? So, Albert's on. How you doing, Al? So, what we learn nowadays is that the old system is experiencing difficulties because what is happening is that the new system of finance, okay, in this case it's cryptocurrency. No doubt there will be others, but the cryptocurrency, the blockchain technology that coins like Bitcoin are based off of, this technology is new, meaning not new as in time, not new as in precedence. Well, definitely in precedence, but not new in the aspect of, hey, shiny and new, my new watch, look at my new watch, It's new in that it's a change of the way in which finances are done. That's just the way things are, right? Paul, how you doing? Good to see you. Glad you can make it today. So, we're talking about the change, right? The difference between the old system and the new system. The difference between a centralized system where, for instance, the Federal Reserve is the centralized point. One point where the Federal Reserve note is issued. The Federal Reserve. That means they get to control it. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is decentralized. It's everywhere in the world. So anyone who is running what's called a Bitcoin miner, basically on a computer, they have the ability to have a vote, as small as it might be, or some industrial, like El Salvador is running Bitcoin miners off of their natural resources. In this case, the gas that comes out of a volcano turns a turbine, gives power to the Bitcoin miners, and then the Bitcoin miners make Bitcoin to give power to the people. It's really, really interesting. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, check it out. El Salvador is doing some great stuff. So, that said, Coinbase is taking part of the old system, a centralized base of exchange. That's Coinbase. They want to be centralized. They want to have a huge, if not total, if they could, share of cryptocurrency exchanges at Coinbase. However, what they're seeing is, with this attack, say what you will, but I believe this whole economic situation we're in is an attack on we the people, attack on the average person, the small business owner, the small taxpayer. All these things that make us who we are, individuals, is being attacked. So what they want to do is they want to centralize everything. Well, Coinbase is a part of that centralization model, okay? And when we see that it's down 87%, okay, so 2022 is over. So in 2022, Coinbase stock lost 87% of its value. That is huge. What if that happened to your house? What if you realized, this is the equity I have in my house, and in 1 year it loses 87%? That's huge, right? So I think part of the reason for that is that more and more people are waking up, at least I hope. More and more people are waking up to the fact that, hey, wait a minute, this kind of centralization is the old system. We need something new because, man, we're getting robbed blind in this old system. And I think that's exactly why that system was invented. That's just me. Any questions or whatever, come on up, ask whatever you want to ask, or make comments. Argue with me if you want. I don't have any corner on the absolute truth around here. Anyway, we'll dabble in a little bit of politics here, but I definitely want to say that anyone who has differing ideas, I'm willing to entertain them. I have no problem whatsoever, and I was telling Joe before the show, I have no problem saying I don't know. If I don't know, I'm not going to make it up. I'll let you know that it's something I either don't have a clue on, or I only have an opinion on, or I have a limited amount of information. That being said, we have politics. Aren't they just fun? Aren't they just, especially for the holidays, right? So this is from the Gateway Pundit. Just like Groundhog Day, Kevin McCarthy fails in 9th vote for Speaker. If anybody's following what's going on in the United States House of Representatives, the Republicans won the House, the majority of Republicans in the House, right? So when this happens, the Speaker of the House is normally voted in by the majority party to be the leader of that portion of the U.S. government, the legislative, portion there, at least in the House, right? So it's not getting done. The establishment, even Democrats, are pulling for Kevin McCarthy. That ought to tell us something right there. And then we have people that are Republicans that have lied to us so many times we can't even count anymore, and they're pulling for this McCarthy guy. So I applaud there's about 20 Republicans that are not allowing this to happen. They're standing pat. So every time, and I won't pretend to have all the understanding of how this works and how this person gets so many tries, so many tries at being Speaker, or any person for that matter. So I think the record was 133 tries, this happened 6 years prior to the Civil War. Okay? Now, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on what's going on in our country, but the last time something happened even near the degree of what we're going through right now in the House of Representatives, it was 6 years prior to the Civil War of the United States. So we are on shaky ground. But, again, another good source of information, the Economic Ninja, right? If you haven't checked him out yet, he's on YouTube, he's on Rumble. He has a lot of insights He's a down-to-earth guy about economics and so forth. So one of the things he says that I take, as truth, and I like to pass it on to everybody here: be prepared, not scared. Be prepared. If you think there's going to be food shortages, store up some food. You think maybe the water's going to run out, store some water, right? Electricity might go out. Get yourself a generator, right? Finances are going to go. Find a store of value, real estate, gold, silver, Bitcoin, right? Prepare. That way you don't have to be scared. So that's what this is all about. I believe God has given me the ability to see things that many other people don't see, and as a watcher on the wall kind of position, I'm trying to help everybody get into the mindset of preparation if they want to. If they want to, I can't force anybody to do anything. And I don't want to either. So interesting that Gateway Pundit puts just like Groundhog Day. Yeah. If anybody remembers that movie, I'm sure you do. The same thing happened every day. And the same thing has happened 9 times that Kevin McCarthy has been refused. And he's probably getting pissed. The people who own him are probably getting pissed. But hey, people are standing for what they believe in. And that is important. Okay? And think about it. If you think that anything on TV is real, check this out. If you're a conservative and you think that the Republican Party is the way to go and all that good stuff, right? And you watch Fox News, perhaps, right? So the far right wing Fox News, right? Fox News is calling these 20 individuals, más o menos, right? 20 individuals, insurrectionists, saboteurs, okay? And the World Economic Forum puppet, Dan Crenshaw, okay? They basically have him in their pocket. He called them terrorists. So someone voting with their conscience in the House of Representatives is now a terrorist, according to Dan Crenshaw. And yeah, he backed off of it. He backpedaled and said, it was a figure of speech and so forth. We'll give it to him, whatever. But that they would use this kind of rhetoric is very telling. That there are 20 people standing for what they believe, based on the fact that the people that are pushing this lying individual, McCarthy, are all liars, have all lied to us at one degree or another. And some might say, oh, Otter, we know you're a Trump fan. Trump is pushing for it. You're right. Trump has endorsed McCarthy. But if we have time, I'll go into why he did that, or what I believe as to why he did that. Anyway, so as I was writing the notes, I come up with the concept that, you can know how you're doing something right. You can have a purpose and intent to do something right, but you might not have the knowledge of, hey, am I really doing this right? Am I doing this correctly? Well, one of the ways we can determine whether we're doing things correctly is if low-class individuals or compromised organizations or individuals, okay, if they say nasty things about you and you know what you're doing is not wrong, you know it's not evil, you know it's not to hurt anyone, if they say evil about you, if they say bad things, demeaning and malignant things against you, well then there's a good sign that you're doing something right. So if you still, and I know I've got a lot of friends that check this out, and I appreciate your watching and you're being interested, and people that may not even know me, through KCYP on YouTube and Sound or Radio Garden and Facebook and all the neat places we go out on. If you don't know me, please know this: if you watch TV and you get you're not getting what it is you think you are, okay? What you're really receiving when you're watching TV, this is my opinion, I'm willing to, argue it, is a governor on your thought process. A governor meaning, and I don't know, Joe, I don't know if you had mini bikes or go-karts when you were a kid, but what they would do is they'd strap these engine on these go-karts or mini bikes, and then kids would ride them, right? So in order not to have some kid go zooming down the road at 40, 50 miles an hour, they would put on that motor what's called a governor, right? So it would only allow, back in the day, I'm dating myself here, but back in the day we had carbureted engines, and they would only allow the carburetor to do so much to reach such a a point of performance that it was governed as to how far it could go. Well, that's what TV is designed for. It's designed to govern your thoughts. It's designed to govern your ability to cognitively assess a situation. So, sort of like smoking, drinking, TV should be taken in moderation. So, my thoughts on this matter. Hey, Renee, glad to see you. Glad you could make it. Will is up. How you doing, Will? Peace. Glad to see you guys are on. These are my thoughts here on what we've been talking about. So I'm going to use again a technique that Joe taught me. Joe's the pro. Joe Martinez here at KCYP the City 97. So price-wise, we did that. There's a city in Switzerland that you can buy everything and pay for everything with Bitcoin. That's cool. Russia initiated a gold-backed crypto. That was great. FTX ripped off a lot of people. Not good. And Coinbase lost 87% of its value in 2022. So we're moving on. Here are my thoughts. If the purpose of division is to separate honesty from corruption, I think it's a good thing, right? Because a lot of times we talk about things here in this country or in some sort of organization. Division is a bad thing. We need unity. And in many instances, I think that's absolutely correct. But when it comes to separating ourselves from evil, we need division. You don't want unity with you and cancer, do you? You don't want to be unified with the tumors that are invading your body. You want division. You want to divide your body from whatever it is that's attacking it. In this case, cancer. You want it out of you. You want it gone. You want it dead. So when we have corruption or corrupted political parties, as both are in our country, we have two of them and they're both corrupted. So if it's against the benefit of we the people, and there's a division on constitutional grounds, which I believe this one is, divisive on constitutional grounds, then there's hope that if someone is resisting the unity of corruption and government, if they're resisting that, well then we can at least hope they're doing something right for the people. Now, you can hold your own opinion. You're entitled to that. Everyone is. But if we have 20 people standing against what it is, the same people that have been destroying us for generations, financially. And what is money? Time. Most of us are wage slaves. We trade our time for money. What is time? What life? We don't have a limited amount of it. So we trade that for money, and these people devalue our money. It's about time we woke up to that, right? Noe, good to see you, Noe. Division. When we speak of those things, one might think, you know what? I want to be thought of publicly as a good person. And we all do, to an extent. But a bit about that. Popularity is fickle. And as you all know, anyone who has watched the Bitcoin Otter show, I must at some point, compelled to, honored to, might be a better word, to place things into a biblical perspective. Because if there's anything that is ever going to save us, it's God. In fact, there's only one person that is ever really going to come out and save us, and he did that a while back, is fickle. And let me give you an example, okay? So there's compromised people, in this case, and this is the world example. These compromised people are telling us one thing and intending us to do something that they want us to do, okay? But let me give you a parallel, because here's the technique that they're using. So if you go against their plan, then you're a terrorist, then you're an insurrectionist, you're a saboteur, right? That's who you are. So if you go back into their lane of corruption from the Bible. This is one verse, very short, very small, and this is not going to be a sermon. I just want to draw this as an example. This is Matthew 5:11. Blessed are you, Jesus speaking, by the way. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. So when Jesus said those words, he was talking to people who needed help. He was talking to people that needed God and needed to be saved, right? So here we are. I can honestly, truly relate to what's going on with this, and I'm going to draw the parallel to the things that we're talking about right now. And then that'll be it. We'll cut it short, but I'll tell you what. Again, I'm honored to be here. Anyway, Matthew 5:11. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say things against you because of me. So when we seek public approval, we're setting ourselves up for failure. When that's our goal, to be seen in the eyes of the public, to be famous, to be exalted, well then we better look behind us, because there's going to be a hole back there that we're going to fall in. There's going to be a pit or knives planted in our backs, right? So let me use one more biblical example. In the book of Acts, Paul and Barnabas went to a city named Lystra. Okay? They found a guy that couldn't walk. He was paralyzed. He was just sitting down there, and he had been paralyzed for life, so it wasn't like he was faking. Everybody knew in that city. So Paul, through God's Spirit, said that, hey, this guy's got faith enough to be healed. So God healed him using Paul, and there was Barnabas standing near him, right? So these people went gaga. They went crazy. Wow, we got gods in our midst, right? We're gonna worship these two as gods. So they gathered the whole community. They come together, and they're about, they're gonna get the idols together. They're gonna get this altar, and they're gonna sacrifice to Paul and to Barnabas. And when they found out what they were doing, they went, no, Barnabas, like they were gods, literal gods that they would, pray to, burn incense to, and sacrifice to. So within a day or two, these people who had been following around the work of Paul and Barnabas and others as they were traveling, telling people about who Jesus was, these people went into that town and they stirred the people of Lystra. These same people who wanted to worship Paul and Barnabas as gods were stirred up by a group of evildoers. Okay? And the group of evildoers were very persuasive in their ability to change minds. And they still are. The minds of the people in Lystra were changed so drastically that they threw rocks at Paul until they thought he was dead, dragged his butt out of the city, dumped him off out of the city because they thought he was dead. The same guy a day or two before, they wanted to worship as God. They killed. Threw him out of the city. Right? So there's the dynamic. There's my comparison. If you are looking for public approval, you may get it. You can. If you just toe the line and are not your friends. They're just people who are happy you say and think the way they do. That's all it is. Now, this is coming from me, right? Take it or leave it. We can discuss it. We can argue it. Whatever. However you want to go with it. But when I look at today's times, I think that if you are contrary to what the popular message is, you probably have something good to say. That's just me. But our time is about done here. Joe, I appreciate you helping us out here, getting this word out, getting this message out. Everybody who's watched, or anybody who doesn't quite have the time, because this is what I do, right? I hardly listen to music anymore. I just listen to people who have information at the time I can do it. So if you're not able to enjoy this live and you check it out later, that's great too. Just send me an email if you want a subject to talk about, or you're interested in learning how to get into Bitcoin safely and securely. That being said, and we're back now on Facebook here. So thanks.